On this episode of the Turnbuckle, WWE sells to Endeavor and announces a merger with UFC. Shane McMahon suffers a torn quad at Wrestlemania, and Roman Reigns' WWE Wrestlemania 39 victory was reportedly planned for weeks, and Vince McMahon was not involved. Folks, we're doing your favorite wrestling move to some wrestling news because it's time for the Turnbuckle. After being initially reported by CNBC on Sunday, it has now been made official. WWE has been purchased by Ari Emanuel's Endeavor Group and will join with UFC to form a new publicly traded company holding a supposed collective value of more than $21 billion. Former WWE CEO Vince McMahon, who rejoined the company's board of directors as executive chairman in January, reportedly to help facilitate a sale, called the move, quote, the best outcome for our shareholders and other stakeholders. Together we will be a $21 billion live sports and entertainment powerhouse with a collective fan base of more than 1 billion people and an exciting growth opportunity, McMahon said. I, along with the current WWE management team, look forward to working closely with Ari and the Endeavor and UFC teams to take the business to the next level. Under the terms of the acquisition, McMahon will continue to serve as executive chairman of the board, while Emanuel will lead the company as CEO, and Mark Shapiro will be president and COO of both Endeavor and the new company. Dana White and Nick Khan are set to maintain their respective roles as president of UFC and president of WWE. This is a rare opportunity to create a global live sports and entertainment pure play built for where the industry is headed, Emanuel said. For decades, Vince and his team have demonstrated an incredible track record of innovation and shareholder value creation, and we are confident that Endeavor can deliver significant additional value for shareholders by bringing UFC and WWE together. As previously reported, the deal sees Endeavor take ownership of 51% of WWE, while the company's existing shareholders retain 49%. The new company will list on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol TKO. The transaction values WWE at $9.3 billion, which was McMahon's reported asking price back in February, though WWE stock is down in pre-market trading, indicating that investors disagree with the valuation, and comes the day after the conclusion of WrestleMania 39. Can I say something controversial yet brave? Right up until... literally, okay, the whole time, I had literally no qualms with the sale. I didn't really have anything else to say about it. But now that the sale has actually happened, and I've actually had some time to think about just why the sale actually happened, I don't know why the sale actually happened. You are free to scream at me at the top of your lungs in the comment section of why this needed to happen and why Vince McMahon and Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro and Dana White all needed to come together and go and shake their hands. You're more than welcome to do that, okay? Because I personally don't understand why this merger needed to happen. Because WWE, as far as I can tell, unless I am blind, was doing perfectly fine. Especially after the Vince McMahon fiasco. If anything, they were doing far better, right? They were making a bunch of money. More people were watching, right? They're now starting to do strategic pay-per-views, and the morale is a lot higher. The merger, to me, would imply that something was going on with one of the companies, and they came together and they said to themselves, okay, well, you've got a problem and I've got a problem. What if we came together and it could solve both of our problems or so? I don't know. Nobody has changed position. Nick Khan, right? Emanuel, Shapiro, everybody is still exactly where they were before the sale and after the sale. So it's not like anything has really been shaken up. The only thing that everybody seems to be screaming and crying and farting about is that they are worried that Vince McMahon is going to somehow get his way back into creative control. And nobody besides Vince McMahon and Emanuel and Shapiro and yada, right? They're the only ones who genuinely know at the end of the day who is going to be in charge. If you ask me, if I'm Emanuel and Shapiro and Dana and yada, no, yada's not a, yada. Anyway, I just didn't want to confuse you. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to throw you off. My first thought is, well, he's been doing good so far, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to remove him, seeing as how he's been doing absolutely fantastic this entire time with, Saudi Arabia and SummerSlam, right? and Elimination Chamber and all that sort of stuff. He's been knocking it out of the park. So I don't necessarily see a reason why I need to take him out. Because if I do, there's a chance that we could potentially muddy up the stocks, right? And we could lose viewers and all that sort of stuff. So let me not rock the boat, you know what I mean, in regards to the creative control. And let me just sort of keep him there. Again, if anybody has any, underlying reason as to why this needed to happen, I'm all ears, okay? And I'm willing to be proven wrong in regards to WWE Sale. Next, we're going to talk about Shane McMahon and how he suffered a torn quad at WrestleMania. Shane McMahon suffered a serious injury at WrestleMania 39 as a return to WWE. At the WrestleMania 39 Night 2 post-show press conference, Triple H confirmed that Shane suffered a torn quad at the event. The injury happened right after the start of an impromptu match between Shane and The Miz. One night after The Miz lost an impromptu match to Pat McAfee, Snoop Dogg introduced Shane as Miz's opponent for Night 2. Shane briefly spoke on the microphone, getting emotional while thanking the fans for the reception he received. Shane gave Miz punches in the corner after the match started, but his leg gave out on the next spot. Snoop Dogg improvised after Shane's injury, giving Miz a people's elbow and then pinning him. The referee counted to 3 to give Snoop Dogg the victory. "My hat's off to Snoop," Triple H said at the press conference. "He's a natural-born entertainer. I've known Snoop for years in this environment and what kind of a fan he is. But man, tonight from a respect factor for me, he put himself on a different playing field for me. Because I know a lot of guys that have been in the business a long time, and if that happened, they'd be like, what do we do? Didn't miss a beat. It was amazing." Why couldn't it have been LA Knight? LA Knight wouldn't have torn his quad. I mean, he probably would have torn his quad, to be honest with you, just by off of pure chance. Why couldn't it have been like Bobby Lashley? Bobby Lashley wasn't doing anything. He literally came out, posed with the statue, and that was pretty much it. Right? Shane, man, you already know that I hope you make a speedy recovery and you're back sooner rather than later. But you weren't doing anything. You weren't on Raw. You weren't on SmackDown. You're not going to be on Raw, and you're not going to... Well, now you're definitely not. But you weren't going to be on Raw, and you weren't going to be on SmackDown. So, it's not like what do you want me to do? You want me to be sad? He wasn't on Raw or anything. He just showed up. And then he pulled a muscle, because he's old. Ay, man. Look, all in all, folks, stretch, okay? Stretch your muscles every time you wake up. Otherwise, you're going to turn into Shane, and nobody wants that. Finally, Roman Reigns' WrestleMania victory was reportedly planned for weeks, and Vince McMahon was not involved. The tribal chief of WWE is still the undisputed Universal Champion following WrestleMania 39, despite many believing the moment for Reigns' historic title reign to end was April 2nd at the hands of Cody Rhodes. Although many had put the idea of Rhodes as champion into their heads, the finish of the match went in a different direction following a Samoan spike from Solo Sikoa and a spear by Reigns to secure the victory, positioning him to surpass 1,000 days as champion. The finish surprised many, but according to Fightful Select, the plan to have Reigns leave victorious had been in the works for some time now. According to the report, the original plans had Rhodes and Reigns facing off in the summer prior to Rhodes' injury, with some internal pitches earmarking Rhodes for a match with John Cena instead. During Vince McMahon's time as CEO and head of WWE Creative, there weren't plans to have Reigns lose the world titles or for Rhodes to win them. Following McMahon's departure from WWE due to allegations of hush money payments to cover up SA, the plan was put in place for Rhodes to compete at the WrestleMania 39 main event, despite the victor still being undetermined. Fightful says the plan had always been for Reigns to walk out of Los Angeles with both belts, stating that several people were made aware of the result several weeks ago, despite not knowing what both Rhodes and Reigns were told when it would happen. Despite many quickly jumping to the notion that McMahon somehow had an influence on the decision now that he's returned to WWE as an employee, Fightful sources within the company denied McMahon's involvement. I, along with a lot of people, were very surprised that Roman Reigns actually retained. Now, I didn't read it, but I saw it. Sometimes I don't read stuff, alright? Leave me alone. But I did see through the grapevine that Roman Reigns was supposed to be taking a break. And that led me to believe that Cody Rhodes was going to end up winning. And Roman was going to, be gone for the next, month or two, And he wasn't going to be a Backlash. But he won, so he's got to be a Backlash. And yeah, man, I mean, this is very shocking for a lot of people, including me. I definitely expected Cody Rhodes to retain, but no. Solo Sikoa came out, hit him in the throat with his thumb, crushed his larynx, and he died. And then Roman stayed the champion, And that was it. Right now, it doesn't feel like they really have anybody lined up. You know what I mean? So far, it feels like the only person they really had lined up was Cody Rhodes. And that obviously did not go to everybody else's plan, but it went all according to WWE's plan. So at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait and see. Sorry, that was my computer. Y'all have to excuse me. We're just going to have to wait and see what WWE has in store for, I guess, the next challenger for the championship. And if Roman Reigns is, because he's not losing at Backlash. He's not losing at WrestleMania, but he's losing at Backlash, you know? So listen, all right? For all I know, Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, I mean, he could show up and be like, haha, I win. I'm the greatest. And then John Cena could show up and be like, patooey, and then he could win. I don't know. So at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait and see, and only time will tell. What are we talking about? Okay, WWE sells to Endeavor, right? Merges with UFC. Great? Question mark? They needed to, I'm genuinely trying to like, okay, they needed to merge together because that way they could utilize both of their companies and their money, and they could reach a more global fan base. Okay, but WWE was already doing that. So I don't necessarily see the point as to why they needed to do it. And listen, I don't follow Endeavor, right? So I can't really sit here and say, oh, Endeavor, you know, was, I don't know, like strapped for cash or what. I don't know. I got nothing. Shane McMahon suffers an injury. Look, man, you got to stretch before you go out. That's all I can assume. Or either that, or maybe rehearse, or maybe folks, I'm so confused, man. Why did Shane come out? Why did he come out? How did he blow his quad? How did that happen? The only thing Roman Reigns' victory was planned for weeks. There's nothing you can really say. You can't say anything. Oh, Vince McMahon's behind it. No, he wasn't. It's literally reported that Vince McMahon was not behind it. So you can't even say anything. If anything, it was planned for weeks in advance. So when Vince was there, it was still planned. If Vince left, it was still planned. So that card of, oh, Vince is in charge, Vince is in charge. Well, he's not. So what do you got? Oh, well, maybe it's behind the scenes. Well, why? Why would it be? I can't wait. I hope that, like, I hope a year from now, people are still screaming, oh, Vince is in charge, Vince is in charge. And, like, there's a report that comes out every week. No, he's not. No, he's not. Because you guys, man, you're going absolutely bonkers with this. We're going to have to wait and see what we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Roman in the near future in regards to his championship reign, right? It doesn't really seem like he's going to be losing it anytime soon. I feel like if he's going to lose it at any point, right, in the coming months, it's going to be somewhere near like the big four, you know? So until then, he's going to be staying as champion, and we're going to have to wait and see who the next challenger is for the title. Folks, that's going to do it. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. Sorry that this video came out late. The recording got messed up. So, as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.